Hey, welcome to the download. What'll it be? Greetings and welcome to the Lowdown at the Down Low, a show where we get to be face to face with the talent behind the exciting audio series Heroes of Extinction. I'm your host, Jason Braden, and today I am thrilled to be in the presence of the very talented Phran Gauci. Hello, Phran.
Hello, darling. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. So we're going to start off by just saying, what's your current career? What do you do at the moment?
Well, it's what I've always done. I've never really had a real job. I've been acting since I was a kid, all throughout school. So I'm an actress. I sing. I'm an actress who sings. I'm not like a singer, but, I've done musicals. I've been doing voiceovers as long as I can remember, improv. I've done some film, some television. I was with Walt Disney World for 100 years. No, I'm not that old. I've had an incredible career with Disney. I'm an equity actor there, and I'm a citizen of Main Street, Hildegard. I believe that I'd like to empower girls. So I didn't want to just be a pretty socialite. I wanted to teach the girls that they're more than pretty. They're strong, they're smart, and it's high time they're in power. Nothing personal, but this is turn of the century. So I was a suffragist and head of the movement. What was incredible being an equity actor, we got to brainstorm our characters and really make them real. So that was an incredible thing. But yeah, I did Disney. We had Pleasure Island, and I was with Pleasure Island for about 9 years. Comedy Warehouse, Adventurers Club, conventions, voiceovers for Disney.
So clearly you've done a lot of stuff throughout your career. And I know you've done a mixture of live action and voice acting. What did it start with, though? Was it like live acting first?
Well, it was always theater first educationally, but my first job was in college. And I had a girlfriend who knew someone that was doing a radio drama. And she's like, Phran, would you like to do this? I'm like, hello. And at the ripe old age of, I don't know if I was 20, I don't know, it could have been 19. I was a grandmother. I played an Italian grandmother. And it was so cool because it was a drama. And even though comedy seems to be my forte and all that, I got to be really dramatic. So that was really a great experience. And then I got the bug, and I love geeking out. I love doing crazy different voices. So when I can do animated voices, children's things, that just fills my soul. Nobody dies,
If it's easy to pick out, do you have any sort of a favorite that you've done over the years?
Oh my gosh, there are so many, from singing vegetables for commercials to, as far as animation, I got to do this one thing years ago for PBS, and I was all the other roles, and the male role was Santa Claus. But the reason I loved it, because it was a darling story, but it was all in French. So we had to do the ADR, the looping in English, and we had to try to match the mouths of the animated characters. So that really made me work. But there's just been so many crazy things. I've done just evil things, VO for Disney, just crazy things that I shouldn't have done, but I did. I probably shouldn't be saying. Oh my God.
It's okay. We can edit it out later.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's sort of transition that into, you've obviously had an extensive career in theater, in television, in radio, and obviously, in front of the camera and behind the camera. But how were you approached to star in Heroes of Extinction? How did you meet Jerry? Jerry's the one that's been kind of putting this all together. How did you introduce yourself to him, or how did he introduce himself to you and get you started as a character in this show?
Well, that's what's so awesome. A friend of his, a writer, that's a friend that I knew, that was an acquaintance, I guess, recommended me to Jerry. And then Jerry got a hold of me and he started telling me about it. And I was like, yes, I would love to be a part of this. So that's how that started. Yeah, which was I'm so happy to be a part of the team.
That seems to be kind of a common theme that, I mean, because I know a few other people that are in the show, and myself included, that have met people through other people just by networking and somebody saying, hey, I know this person that'll be great. I think you might actually be interested in this. And it's amazing how well it's worked out and the amount of talent that is in this show. I mean, yourself and I could name
Everyone.
names.
No,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean everyone.
everyone.
I mean, obviously we're going to hear more on future episodes to come, but yeah, it's exciting to be just a part of this. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's hard to pull together the right words. So
Well, if I may,
yeah,
um,
please.
the thing about doing something like this, and that it is VO, we can be anything and do anything because it is voiceover. And that's what I find so exciting because, and with that, we have to create it visually for everyone through our acting. And that's why I love voiceover. I mean, in all, like I've done things like, Army training, VO and Delta Airlines and things like that. But what I love are the acting things. And so people really have to use their imaginations. And that's why I love children's things. Sorry, I went back to that. I kind of digress. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, do you prefer doing voiceover or voice acting stuff more than the stuff that's on theater or in person or live? Because I mean, I've found it. I mean, I've never done anything like that before, but the voice acting stuff I feel is incredibly freeing because you don't have to memorize anything. You can read
Exactly.
everything, yeah, and you can feel what the characters are going through just by reading through the script and being like, okay, I know exactly how I need to respond on this just by reading the prior actor's lines, and I can feel what needs to be said and how to emote it. And do you feel the same way when you're
I
doing your stuff?
do. I totally do. And, as far as film and television, there's not a slew of that. I mean, I've done two films and, whatever, which was really great. But my passion is voiceover, especially this kind of a thing. I mean, commercials are fun, narratives are fun, announcers are fun, but it's this where you get to really, really play. That's what I love. I just love it.
What about, I mean, so you found this show through networking. Have you been able to find any additional work through the networking of this show in itself? Like, in other words, have you met other people in Heroes of Extinction where you've been able to be like, well, I now have another opportunity because this person's like, oh my God, you have to meet Phran and you have to, hire her to do this part.
Well, as far as through Heroes, I mean, there's another project that we're going to be doing. I don't know that I can talk about that yet, but there's been that. But what's great is I haven't been networking. I mean, I just feel like this was like plink. It just kind of happened. So, yeah.
We
Uh,
can talk about that show, but we'll get into that just a little bit later when we talk about upcoming projects. But it's going to be okay to say it. I know exactly what you're talking about, and we're kind of excited about it too. So, about your character in Heroes of Extinction, you
oh, I
play.
love her.
Yes.
Sorry.
Tell us the name of your character first of all, and the role she plays in the story.
Dr. Lewis.
Hmm.
And at first, I like to delve into characters. So on the surface, when I read the first episode, I thought, okay, she's straight, she's a scientist. And then, I wanted to give her a bit of a dialect. And because at first I thought, wow, she's really uptight and she's just rigid. And then you get into it and you look at it, and I mean, oh my God, this poor woman has such baggage and was so, I'm going to say, emotionally abused and couldn't compete in the boys' club, nothing personal. I just wanted to help her. But I love her because Samantha has written, oh my God, this character is really grown, and the things that she goes through, the transitions, like 6 and 7 are my favorite episodes. I don't want to give anything away,
Right,
but
right.
just the levels that she plays, the transitions are so cool. I love her.
And just to kind of recap for those who are listening, when you say Samantha, we are talking about Samantha Albin, who is the one who wrote Heroes of Extinction, and if I'm not mistaken, is also turning it into a more of a novel form as well.
Oh,
Yeah, it's being changed into more of a story that people can actually pick up and read as well. So
well, she's so clever. And her
I've really
characters
enjoyed
are
it. Yeah.
so fully developed. There's like cliffhangers, and you want to know about each of them. It's just fantastic. And the ensemble of the show, people will feed off of each other, and that's how the characters are written.
So speaking of, it's kind of like a radio show back in, say, like the 40s or maybe even the 30s or something like that, when there was no television, and that's really
Right.
how we're producing this, and that's how we're putting it out to the audience. Do you feel like that's something that maybe society is kind of needing right now, like kind of pull
Oh,
away from the visual effects and just go back to using your imagination based on what you hear only?
oh, most definitely. But I also think people are ready for things like that because people will listen. People listen to podcasts all the time. People that are, back to driving and things like that. Oh, love to listen, or listening to, books to tape, not tape. Tape is, whoa, I'm dating myself, but audio books. Let me say that. Yeah. Audio books and stuff.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. I mean, the last couple of books that I had read, just quote unquote read, was all on Audible. And, I used to listen to it. This was pre-pandemic, of course, because I haven't done, shame on me, I haven't done a lot of reading since then. I've been a lot more screen time, but this has also been a lot of my passion and hobbies now, is doing the voiceover and voice acting stuff. So it's kind of taken over everything else. But anyway, I digress. I used to listen to them in my car on the way to work, commuting to and
Yes.
from. And it would take sometimes 40 to 45 minutes just for me to get from one side of the bay to the other. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. And that entire time, I could knock out like probably about 2 or 3 chapters of a book and just completely forget about everything else that's going on around me. So, yeah, I really do believe that audio shows like this and the other ones that are coming up, which, like, again, we will talk about later, is kind of needed, and it's kind of it's exciting to see how people respond to it. I think it's going to be big.
Well, and I think people are hungry for fantasy with everything that has transpired these last few years. We don't need to go through that, but just really using your imagination, escaping. I think it's really needed, and I think it's really necessary.
Absolutely. And the way that everything's been edited, Jerry and Andrew have both been doing fantastic jobs pulling things together and making the timing of the dialogue match with the background audio, whether it's a sound effect or somebody screaming or talking over somebody else. I mean, I've listened to episode 1 and I think 2 so far, and it is, like you said, it's great to just be able to let go and use your imagination to think of what these locations look like just by hearing stuff. All right. So, your character, Dr. Lewis, you were talking about, how she's kind of broken and she gets torn apart later on. And we don't want to get too much into her
Right. Yeah.
storyline because we don't want to give any spoilers away. And believe me, folks, there's lots and lots of spoilers to be had if we gave away too much. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and it's so exciting. But let me ask you this. Is there anything from Dr. Lewis's character that you maybe could draw from your own personal life? Like, was there anything that's like, oh my gosh, this particular aspect of her character is kind of like me? And if it's too personal, you don't have to answer, but I'm just kind of curious as an actor, if you drew any inspiration from her character, from your own personal experiences.
Well, and not necessarily my own life, but just injustice. I get like, I don't know, I turn into Norma Ray sometimes. I don't know if you know that reference.
Yes.
It's from an old film, but I just feel like Yeah, I don't want to give anything away, but that's what I related to. Like I felt sorry for her. I mean, she yeah, there's just such a pitiful side to her and what she has had to endure and what is done to her. So I'm a very empathetic person. So that's what it tapped in for me, I guess.
And that's what I
Not
was going
her.
to kind of
Okay.
say is that you maybe not experiences, but you're
Right.
saying maybe more feelings.
Oh, feelings,
Yeah.
emotionally. Like I just wanted to hug her, protect her, slap her,
You
arrest
kind of want to
her.
do that with Dr. Lewis.
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
with all of that.
Okay, so now I think it's time to hear a little bit of Dr. Lewis's voice. And we have a clip prepared. And I believe, Phran, you know which one we're talking about. It's in episode 3. Maybe you can help set us up for a little bit. There's some kind of twisted stuff that's setting up here.
In this episode, Dr. Lewis is frantically trying to find this really important formula that can forever change her life. And so she's gone into the laboratory and she wants to take credit for this formula. And she's just destroying the laboratory, turning everything inside out. And she's frenetic. I mean, she's just out of her mind crazy.
All right, let's see how crazy she gets. All right, let's take a listen.
Folders and papers are scattered across the floor, and every file cabinet drawer is opened.
Damned university security. Absolutely no respect for Dr. Matthews.
Confident that she won't be interrupted, she begins to hunt through the thousands of loose papers, searching for anything that may give her a clue as to how to create Creme 27.
Oh, this is going to take forever.
Giving up on the stacks spread across the floor, she sits at the desk and begins sifting through the drawers.
Come on, Davina. Oh, where'd you hide the files? I know there's got to be another backup somewhere.
She removes the top center drawer and reaches back into the desk. Nothing. She bites her lip and then continues to remove and check behind each drawer. Frustrated, she slams her fists on the desktop.
Damn it! I want that formula!
A sharp pain sears through her brain and she doubles over in agony. Her hands fly up to the sides of her head and she pushes against her temples as she screams. A hollow ringing grows louder and louder as the pain cuts through every bit of her brain tissue. She falls to the floor and writhes in torment.
Oh, God, please make it stop.
All right, so you all just heard a clip of Phran being the frantic Dr. Lewis. Let's give a round of applause. Phran, I think I speak for myself, obviously, and a lot of other of the actors that have been on these table reads and who have heard what you've done so far. And you've got a great voice for this character and a great personality. And I mean, it's believable. I mean, as I'm sure everybody heard, she's obviously been through some stuff and she's trying to figure a lot of things out. And God, I want to go into so much more, but you tap into that psyche like really, really well. So, I mean, seriously,
It's a little scary, right?
But you know
like,
what?
Wait a minute. What's wrong with me?
That's what you were saying earlier. That's the fun part, just to play around with the character and to be a little crazy, because
yes,
that's what this does. I mean, being a voice actor, it allows you to be a little crazy and then step away and be like, okay, I'm back to my normal self again.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we've done table. I mean, I've been a part of this project almost as long as you have. I kind of came in a little bit late, but you've done the table reads for every single episode so far. And, obviously we have a lot of talent on there. Is there anything from those recordings that we've done on, the table reads where we're reading the scripts and we're trying to play out how we're going to be acting these scenes, whether it's direction from Andrew or maybe an anecdote from another actor? Is there anything that comes to your mind that like, oh, remember this time? Can you give any sort of an example?
So I love how we start each table read. We chit chat, we coffee talk, we just talk about life and what people have been going through. And then we laugh. We might get stupid and silly, which is great because that's how I like to live life. I'd rather laugh than cry. And then we would do some of the scenes that we would do with each other. And, these were cold readings for the most part. And I love doing cold readings and just to see where it's going to take you. I know that with the one character where one of the villains, the villainess, where we start really fighting and we're just dancing together. And I don't know any of this cast. I didn't know anyone before this show. So just to build that, to get to dance together, to take each other's temperature. And that's how I like to talk about it, and you give to the other person and then you get something and you just keep doing it, which leads me to the most poignant episode, which was episode 7, because something that had occurred and it was a very hard time for the entire cast and very sad and very tough. And then the script itself, the parallels, and without giving anything away, but it was art imitating life. And we got through it and we did our lines, but the depth of emotion and having to just keep control. And it was so dynamic and so powerful. And I have the chills right now talking about it. So
I'm with you 100%. I was part of that read and I 100% agree. That was, I can't even use the word epic because you think of epic and you think of something that's big and grandiose. This was more humbling than anything else. And yeah, the art imitating life. Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head when you said art imitating life, because, and then we can't get into too much obviously here.
Yeah.
Because like I said before, we don't want to give too much away, but there was a lot that happened in real life that was echoed in the show, and it hit hard. And but the great thing about this entire cast is that I feel like everybody felt the same way. And
yes,
we were all connected on the same level. And that's what is so amazing about this project is it's a family. It's just, it's a completely, I mean, I've got obviously my real life family, I've got my work family, and I have my Heroes of Extinction family. And it's no joke. It's a crazy band of people that all have their own different personalities, but the same passion.
Oh, yes. And I was the newbie coming in. So many of you guys knew each other. You all have histories. I mean, I'm 3,000 miles away, so I don't have a relationship with, I didn't know anyone, and just kind of tiptoeing in. And, then I thought, oh yeah, I could totally be myself. I can geek out. I can do whatever, it's just really rewarding.
Yeah, truly. I mean, honestly, you said you were coming into this new. This was the first thing that I'd ever done, really technically, as a voice actor. I mean, I've played around with stuff online.
Wait.
Oh yeah,
okay, stop.
absolutely.
No, shut up. Shut up. No, your voice. You have such a beautiful voice. No, but you know all of these guys, don't you?
I had known a few of them before I started. I met Jerry through another friend. And it was like a friend of a friend, really, I think. And when I came in, I want to say it was episode 2 or 3 that I started on.
Okay,
and
right.
Listening to all these voices and hearing all the stuff that's going on. And here I am, I've got like a couple of lines as Chuck the Bartender that rarely appears in episodes. But when he does, it's like,
but we love Chuck.
We love Chuck. Yeah, exactly. But hearing everybody else build up to that and wondering, okay, I'm a bartender. These guys are like superheroes and villains and monsters. And how am I going to live up to this? And I tell you, everything went away after that table read. All those concerns, all those worries, all those fears.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I looked forward to every read since then. And I look forward to the other shows that are coming up that we're going to do for those as well, which I'm a part of. And I know that you're going to be a part of it as well. So let's kind of segue into that. Now that we're talking about that, what future projects do you have, or maybe a project coming up that you can talk about?
Well, I we talk about doing voiceovers and stuff. I have two projects. I've been doing table reads for this screenwriter, but what's fun is I've been casting. There are only 4 actors. I've gotten to play 13 different roles from age 20 to, I don't know, maybe 80 or something. So that's been really, really exciting. But what I'm really excited about working again with Jerry and the team is Radella McPherson. And I am in love with her. She's a strong woman. She's a private, well, she's a detective. She's a private investigator and takes place in the 1930s. And she's a clairvoyant. And what's so incredible is she will step into a scene and she will see the victim, the murdered victim, and she will get all these pieces and parts and have to kind of work backwards to justify, to explain why she thinks, Billy Bob over there committed the murder or whatever. I don't know if you remember the old series, The Thin Man, which is one of my favorite. Oh my gosh.
I have heard of it.
Oh, back in the 30s. But the private investigator is the male figure. And it's really, really great. And I think, I haven't read the script yet, but I'm already seeing her as a bit of an eccentric, wealthy. That's my take on her. But I'm really excited about doing that.
You'd kind of have to be a little eccentric to be able to see that kind of stuff, but not be able to prove it, especially back then. With
exactly.
The lack of technology, and there was no DNA testing back then. Fingerprinting was still kind of new, I think.
and who had an iPhone? No.
Right. Nobody's walking around the street with a camera, and if they did, it's set up on a gigantic tripod and it's a big box on top. And you have to hold still for 10 seconds.
But I just imagine her being fabulously dressed, very very pulled together, but is more than glamorous. And she's brilliant. She's intelligent. She cares about what's happening to people. And to be a clairvoyant and back in the 30s and people not think you are crazy. So that'll be really fun to play with that. Yeah.
It's a neat era. I can't wait to hear how you fill her shoes. That's going to be exciting. Well, Phran, thank you so much for taking your time today to talk to us about everything, your career, the show, what we've got going on now, what we've got coming up. It has been a genuine pleasure to really get to know you one-on-one. And even ever since, for the last couple of years, just as an actor, and I have to admit, today I did stalk you a little bit on your website. I listened to some audio clips. You are so much more than what we've heard on the show so far, and you're inspiring. It's something that I really wish that I can be someday, and I really hope to be in that position at some point in my life. My goal is to get out of my current career and change to something like what you do.
We can. I want to say we can do it all. I know we can't do it all, but just what makes you happy. If you are happy and you're playing, you'll never work. It's not a job. You will never work a day in your life with that. But you also have to be smart and you have to live, but you can do both. It doesn't mean you've got to make a gazillion dollars in the entertainment industry, just working your craft. And if you are fulfilled with that, then that's what really matters.
I can't tell you how many times I've used that phrase about being happy at what you do and never working a day in your life. Ever since I decided to switch and start doing this stuff, that has been my main inspiration, because I am always happy. Like inside my little booth here, I can't be happier. It's the most exciting thing. All right. Well, thanks again for being with us today, and look forward to working with you in future projects.
Yes,
it's going to be exciting.
Yes. Give me a job. No.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up today. Phran, thanks again for everything, and we will see you next time on The Down Low.
All great stories begin with adventurous ideas.